Welcome to you. Thank you so much for your presence here and how amazing is this internet that we can also have this kind of meeting with one another. Um, and as we are meeting one another, you distinctly where you are at, I'm distinctly here. Become aware also of always a little bit more of this meta perspective that also exists, where both you and I actually already share the same room, share the same space, where you are overlooking the space in which you and I take place. And it is more accurate, actually, or it's just another perspective that your wider self actually can uh, can come to perceive. And the Yoga Sutra that I want to talk about today um, is one sutra that talks about your inner light and to awaken to your inner light. It's really interesting with all these sutras that are coming in this order. There's one Sanskrit word that is called va, and there's a lot of discussion among commentators whether that va means and or, and it is just different ways actually that Patanjali points to the same thing. And so it is both and or. That it is actually. And here he talks about your inner light, your capacity to focus on your inner light. And this inner light has the light of consciousness, the light of yourself is inherent and talked about actually in many different traditions. It speaks to a lot of people, whether it's the Christed light or the light that is emanating from consciousness itself, like in the Vedic traditions. There's a lot of the sun and the different connections to light that is talked about. And your inner brightness, your inner light is the light of consciousness. Like this, your presence, where does it come from? Even when we look at it a little bit like new agey, we would say the light actually stems from source, right? It stems from the vast essence of yours. And in connection to you realizing what you are, you focus on that inner light. It means actually not to focus on the whatever is going on in your head, the mental stories, your identified notion of self, the continuous mind streams, the continuous chatter of the mind. You direct your attention towards consciousness. You abide as awareness. You stay with what is bright. And what is bright about you is the unidentified, impersonal essence of yours. This is the light of consciousness. This is bright, especially bright compared to the usual stance, what is going on in your mind, or what is going on as you perceived reality. Reality of the self is bright. And for all these kind of methods, all these kind of suggestions from Patanjali, all these kind of ways, methods, what is hinted to, ultimately always actually leads you to first the discrimination between what is consciousness and what is the identified self. It is always, self-realization is always first actually about the isolation of matter versus consciousness, of what you have taken on to be you and the real you. It is part of what this whole idea is about, this whole journey is actually about. And it isn't just about a mental discrimination, even though this mental discrimination is actually very helpful. It isn't just about this mental understanding, but it is about you exploring this. All these traditions, yoga, Advaita, all these traditions, all these ways, methods, they only shine to you, for you, in your own exploration. They only come to life when you start exploring what is talked about. So has to come also to an own exploration, not just to a mental understanding of what is self and what is non-self. But many of these sutras where he talks about coming to this recognition of yourself and also coming to samadhi, in this first chapter, this moment of understanding yourself as consciousness, is about this discrimination. And this discrimination also includes this light, the light of yourself, the light that shines forth, not from inside this body, but actually that shines forth from itself, from the larger vastness of what you are. And it is always bright. So light is also such a good term for it, because it is always bright. It is always radiant. It is always untainted. It is always shining forth, actually, all the time. It is, and it is self-illuminating. It illuminates itself. It is self-revealing. So all these light is such a helpful picture or image, even though there is no image for consciousness, but it also just holds this aspect of radiance by itself. And that's a very interesting part, because it is the radiance that comes along by the annihilation of the personal self, by the reduction of the mental idea of self. And this discrimination that is happening as you realize the self between consciousness and this personal self that is based on ideas, identified ideas of self, is so important, because what it leads to, if it is experienced, not just mentally understood, but literally like deeply experienced, you standing apart from thoughts, you not being thoughts, what it leads to is a real distance, a distance that is then established. And the interesting part about this distance is that actually distance can also collapse, but in a different way. You have basically widened yourself back onto an understanding that you are consciousness. So there's a widening back into your essence. You clearly experience and know yourself as that. You clearly see yourself standing apart from thoughts. And what results out of that is the widening, because what is consciousness? It isn't just a mental image, it is this limitless awareness, pure presence, pure awareness. And then you also become more aware that all these things arise within you, but not the you as just this person, but as this wider essence, wider space. And so one of the ways how he says you can come to know yourself is to focus on this inner light, the inner brightness, the brightness that has no cause, the presence that is in the background, the light of being. So you stay with the light of being, the light of being. And all these experiences that you can have, that light is shining, or that you literally see yourself lit up, or that you have experiences of light at the crown, or like almost like light tunnels, or all these kind of experiences, different scents actually coming, different things appearing to you. You actually need this distance. You need to know what you are. Many people, they really long for these very transcendental experiences to start happening to you in your normal life, as you are part of the divine. They hunger for these divine experiences, these divine even experiences of light. But the thing is, you need to know what you are. Because then you don't take them so seriously. You have a distance to whatever appears then actually. It isn't that you don't enjoy. It is just that you don't take them on, and they don't define you anymore. And it doesn't really have such a strong impact anymore. Something that you then treasure such a long such a long time. It's just happening on its own accord. It's part of the mysterious self that you are, and it is part of that light, and also part of the non-conceptual world and of the spiritual world. Yeah, these days it's all part and parcel of that, but further down the road, you are the awareness that watches even those experiences. And as you come to know yourself more fully, there is always a distance to all appearances. Doesn't mean they are less valued. Actually, they are more valued. Objects become more valued because they are less identified with. The beauty of them can be more known actually to you, the distinct beauty of objects, but the stance and what makes objects become part of suffering just lessons. And so focus on consciousness, which is your light. It is your inner light. It is the radiance that is always here. You, exactly, you are already the sun. You have an inner sun. You have an inner radiance, an inner light. And that light is your nature, the brightness, the clarity, the illumination, the enlightenment is your nature. And so it is a very helpful image actually, because what you are removing is the density or the clouds that have come as form of thoughts, form of identifications in front of that inner light of yours, of that true shining brightness that you actually are. And that is your nature. And also then comes forth more and more as you deepen this knowing, deepen this experience, deepen this abiding, deepen this being, deepen this light. It shines forth in your expression. It shines forth as you. It is as if you are plugged in, then more consciously into a different electricity socket that shines on its own accord, that does things almost by itself, that is just happening. So your expression will be shining forth, but how it then feels for you as this expression is that it is just happening. All things are streamlined, plugged into a greater board that is brimming with electricity, and that comes then forth through you. So focus on your inner light, on what is radiant, untainted, shining always. Thank you so much for listening and being here with me. I appreciate you and your journey and your sincerity of heart. Namaste.